it's fine if you listen to this stuff. Okay, well then why not on church? Why?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do. Yes. It's fine if you listen to it to an extent. I think if it's all you listen to, then you do run the risk, like we just talked about, of getting into this like individualistic, narcissistic theology and ideology where it does become all about that.
Yeah.
So it's fine in moderation, I would say. Same as Snickers bar. If you have a Snickers bar every once in a while, you're probably not going to die. It'll be fine.
Unless you're allergic to peanuts.
Yes, unless you're allergic to peanuts
That'll
or like type 2 diabetes, that kind of thing. But, or type 1.
Both.
I can never.
Both.
Is it? Doesn't matter. But also, like, we should also just be okay with admitting and recognizing that Christian music is kind of mostly terrible.
Yeah.
At least mainstream Christian music.
Art. Like I wish, like, I don't want to go
We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. We know what you mean. We'll talk about it in a later one.
All right.
So like it could be much better. And so that's like part of my problem with Gratitude. Like we give that one a hard time because I think it is a dumb song because it mostly forgets that God exists until a couple key moments. And then it's like, oh yeah. And then you're up there. But then it's like but it's also just dumb writing. Like one of the first lines of the song is like, I got nothing new. I have no words. But then we sing for the next 5 minutes. It's like, I thought you didn't have any words. This is a whole lot of nonsense words for not having words. And then the bridge is just some of the dumbest song. If you're a Gratitude fan.
We don't have any of those.
Lean in close.
Just kidding.
It's dumb songwriting because it's like was
that the don't be shy?
Be still, my soul. Don't you get shy on me?
Oh, yeah,
you got a lion inside of your lungs. It's just like, like how can we be okay with that if that's the best that we have? Okay,
like if like Scripture tells us to sing hymns, psalms, and spiritual songs, like. Psalms being our example, our guide, and like what we just read there. But then you go and write a song like that. It's like
that says, "Come on, my soul, don't you get shy on me."
Which is why. Sorry, I just remembered the point I was starting to make earlier.
Oh yeah, well you go ahead.
Which is that, like you said, if that's all you do, like just do that then. And that's my encouragement to worship leaders out there. Like if you're a worship leader, well, anywhere. But even especially like a small church, maybe you don't have like a lot of resources or people to like help lead the service or whatever. Like be okay with just singing the Psalms. Like that's why they were given to us. That's what these are. They are worship poems like written to the Lord. Just be okay with that and just lean into it.
Right. Well, like Stephen said, you never have to guess if that's the case.
Yeah, if it's appropriate or God honoring, like it's his
right. You're not going to come across a psalm. And you're like,
it's a little shaky theologically speaking,
right?
right. Well, until what's the psalm that's like talks about the counsel of gods and like the divine. It's like, well, okay, I don't want to have to explain that one, but I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
It was a joke. I mean, there is a psalm that talks about that. But
I thought,
like,
okay.
Like I don't want to have to like, and all you other gods too. Just God is like sovereign over you. Like we don't want.
That's the bridge.
So
or the added chorus. Sorry, we had choruses.
Be smart, I guess. But no, like worship. So that's like in your personal life, right?
Yeah.
But let's move because what often happens is a bleed over, and I've done like work with student bands and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, here's this really cool new song on Air One. Can we do it in our like on Wednesday?" And I'm like, "Tell me like why is this a worship song and not just like we can't like, hey, I know you love Toby Mac, but I'm sorry, but that's not really a worship song. Toby Mac's great, but." Like there's different because we're ushering people into a spot, and so like there's a lot of criteria, and we could do a whole
spot into the. I mean, I'm not correcting you. Into the throne room of like before God Himself.
Yeah. Worship songs, worship music are the sermons that people will actually remember, right? And because you think about like what did you preach about 4 weeks ago? Yeah. You have no idea, neither does anybody else in your church. And that's like okay to an extent, right? Because under the ministry of the word, like it's small incremental movements that you really don't notice. You may have a handful of breakthroughs. It's like, oh, like this one sermon changed my life. But for the most part, it's like small little corrections and little things that we learn that are almost immeasurable, but add up over the course of our life. Worship is a way different story because we take that stuff with us. Like nobody gets sermons stuck in their head, really. We get worship songs stuck in our head.
I do, man.
So if some people do.
No,
so that's
I know
a very
what you mean.
small subset
for sure.
of
I know what you mean.
People. So like,
but that's a part of why you sing is for that purpose.
That's exactly it, right? Is that we're teaching theology. Yeah. We're not that it has to like be like open up Wayne Grudem's systematic theology and make it rhyme. Like that's not what I'm asking for.
Sure.
But like it should be rich at the very least and teach us something true about the nature and character of God, in some way. If not that, then just straight up worshiping who he is. But again, we're still going to learn through that. So if your worship isn't teaching somebody about the character of God, but more teaching you about the nature of like yourself and self-congratulating yourself or like whatever, like it defeats the purpose. It's just a good song. And you're just having like a spiritual experience and not a religious experience, which is really like the big problem is that we're constantly trying to cultivate this individualistic like experience in the context of a church. And we continue to do these songs that feel good, that sound good, that make people feel happy. Just like the one that we just listened to, as like silly and satirical as it was, it's also kind of right on because people are like, that's what I want to hear because it makes me feel good. People raise their hands up, people sing louder, people get excited. They say, oh my gosh, that worship set was so good. When it's like there was no substance to it, it just made them feel good, which takes us back to 2 Timothy 4. People want to do what makes them feel good and what to do what makes them puffed up, and they will reject sound doctrine in the pursuit of that.
I didn't even think about that passage in light of worship, like singing. That's a good call.
And we continue to do it because we get the like, oh my gosh, that was so good.